Mr. Speaker, sir, this statement is long overdue, but we have always had it ready, waiting for your guidance. It is in two parts, starting with the status of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill, because the Supreme Court ruling also made recommendations on the need to amend the law, and in addition made a ruling on the need to transfer cases to civilian courts. The Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill has been drafted by the Directorate of the First Parliamentary Council and was forwarded to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs for scrutiny and comments. In the event that the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs is satisfied with the contents of the bill, they will submit the bill to Cabinet for approval prior to its presentation in Parliament. It is important to note that the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2024 was withdrawn by the Honourable Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs. The law has now been revised to take into consideration issues that were raised by the Supreme Court in the case of Attorney General versus Honourable Michael A. Kabaziguruka, Constitutional Appeal number 2 of 2021. The revised bill takes into consideration the structure of the courts martial, persons subject to military law, exceptional circumstances under which a civilian may be subject to military law, arms and ammunition, which are the monopoly of the defense forces, and classified stores and appeals from the courts martial to the civilian courts. Part 2, the status on the number of cases received by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. You'll recall that via a letter dated 4th February 2025, the Honourable Attorney General, in his advice to, among others, the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Director of Public Prosecutions, guided that A, the General Court Martial, in liaison with the prisons authorities, should provide a list of all criminal cases involving civilians pending before the General Court Martial for onward transmission to the courts to determine the appropriate court to handle the matters. The General Court Martial should provide a list of all pending criminal cases involving members of the UPDF pending before the court martial that fall within the categories of transfer for onward transmission to the courts to determine the appropriate courts to handle the matter. And C, the Director of Public Prosecution liaises with the General Court Martial and the UPDF leadership to take over conduct of the ongoing criminal trials that have been identified for transfer. Pursuant to the advice, the Uganda Prison Authority did submit a list of 423 cases as advised by the Honourable Attorney General via a letter dated 6th February 2025 of the prisoners remanded by the courts martial. Further, we are in receipt of information that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has received 45 cases from the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. The Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs is still preparing to submit other criminal cases to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution as advised, and we will, at the earliest, update this August House when this is done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Rob. That this statement really does not capture the gist of what we were inquiring. Because, as the Minister does concede in this statement, files were meant to be transferred to civilian courts. There is no update on that in this statement, because the update there is that the Uganda Prisons Authority did submit a list of 423 cases. But there's no update on where these files submitted to the civilian courts, because that has been our question. So for Uganda prisons to submit to whoever, whether it be to Ministry of Justice, whether it be to Ministry of Defense, or to whoever, and so on, that's a process which is not even a very big concern to us. The big concern to us is transferring these civilian cases, these files, to civilian courts. And Honourable Speaker, there is no mention of that in this statement. So it does not comfort us when the Minister says, well, Uganda prisons submitted a list of 423 cases as advised by the Attorney General. To where? Because what we want is these files are not us. It is a decision of the Supreme Court that these files get to be submitted to civilian courts. That's what we want to hear about, and it is not captured by this statement. If anything, this statement actually it creates a precarious situation, which might be contradicting Article 92 of our country's constitution, which says Parliament cannot pass any law to alter the decision of a court. So I don't know if that's the intention of the Minister when he begins by telling us, well, we are working on the UPDF amendment bill. It's as if to say the concerns we are raising are going to be addressed by the bill which is going to be brought to Parliament. And that's very problematic. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to beseech you and insist that we get a proper update on the transfer of the civilian files to civilian courts. That's what we want to know about. Why has it taken long? When is it going to happen? This
Sango ejiri politically motivated ez'ebyobufuzi. Nti bakutte munnabyabufuzi ono kabamuteekeko ekisango sango. Bamuteekeko emmundu, bamuteekeko ki. Basigala balemesa abantu abo okuva mu Makomera. Naye ffe tugamba twagala tutwale step by step. Tuwangule step esooka misango gino kugenda mu kooti eza bulijjo. Weewaawo naye waliwo obuzibu kubanga abantu abamu katolaba Dr. Kiza Besigye ne kaakati bakyamumye bail. Naye nga fayiro ye bagitwala mu kooti ya bulijjo. Kati tuba tuwagala tusooke tusomoke awo. Bwe tunaatuuka mu kooti eza bulijjo kakati awo ensonga tuba tutandika kuzibanja Chief Justice ne banne. Kakati right now tetusobola kubanja Chief Justice ne kooti eza bulijjo kubanga emisango teginnatuukayo. Tukyabanja government nga tuyita mu Minister ono Nobert Mao. Ko fayiro ezo zitwalibwe mu kooti eza bulijjo. Bwe zimala okutuukayo bwe ziti kati awo tutandike kufaafagana n'amakooti. Awo kati nga bwe tugamba kooti lwaki abantu bano tumwagala bataka kwaluka kooti. Kiki lwaki mubalemeza mwina mufuna orders naki. So kati twagala tusomoke step by step. Alinga atuka ndikiseera n'agana naye lwaki tugivaako nga lwaki ngivaako. Kati bazze batusuubiza tugenda kuleta statement. Era ne leero mulabe basoose tubuzaabuzaao nenemera ku nti abagireete. Minister oba abaddewa najja ne statement. Naye obuzibu buli nti statement ya minister eringa etaliimu yadde ekintu ku ebyo bye tuzze tubanja. Kubanga tuzze tugamba nti kooti ensukkulumu yaga nti abantu ba bulijjo tebalina kuwozesebwa kooti z'amagye nti fayiro zaabwe zonna zitwalibwe mu kooti ez'abantu aba bulijjo. Ekyo nga kyetulindiridde nga kyetwagala okulaba. Statement ya minister egamba nti kakati Uganda prisons yawaayo listi tatuwulidde nawa yawaayo listi y'abantu 423 okuprocessinga. Nitumubuuza eyo listi yagiwaani. Ffe kyetusinga okwetaaga si nti oba Uganda prisons yawandikira Ministry ya Defense yawandikira ani naki. Kyetwagala DPP ensonga zino files zino okuzitwala mu kooti ez'abantu aba bulijjo. Kubanga minister ayino kitegeera ne banne nti kati tebalina tteeka lyebesigamako okusigala nga bakutta abantu bano. Alina kyannyonnyodde kaawo n'agamba nti omanyi kaakati nga tunazitwala mu kooti za bulijjo bakyanoonyereza. Kiki bakyanoonyereza? Abantu bano abamu babadde mu Makomera Bamachete Bakalanzi Babubyanga abamu kati bagenda mu myaka 5. Mu myaka 5 mbadde temunoonyereza. Ye fayiro ezo za court martial tekuliko kunoonyereza kubanga emyaka 5 ng'abantu bano bali mu nkomyo. Kiki kye mukyanoonyereza? Ate n'ekirala toli tteeka ligaana nti nga mumaze okuba sanctioninga mulekerawo okunoonyereza kubanga n'endala zonna eziri mu kooti za bulijjo yes bakyanoonyereza ng'omusango bugenda mu maaso naki. So kati tetwagala kutubuzaabuza. Omanyi alowoozeza nti ajja tteekamu oluzungu atubuzaabuze. Kyetwagala fayiro zino kutwalibwa mu kooti za bulijjo. Kati abantu bano tubasabira akakalu ka kooti bawoze nga bava ebweru.
Ali Makomera abasibe batono nnyo njagala mubuza abasibe bameka bayagala mu Komera ebyo byatugambye mbu files ezaali mu court martial ziri 223 ezo files zetwagala zidde mu court za buli abantu bawozesebwe file 45 ezakakolebwa kontono nnyo so teri agenda kumwegayira tumusaba agoberera amateeka ng'ateekesa ekiragiro kya kooti mu nkola ebyokubalaata n'okulowooza nti ayina obudde bungi obudde talina bungi ffe kyetumusaba ng'abaka ba parliament kwe kumanya nti eddembe ly'obuntu teryagenda diteesaako agenze n'agamba mbu buli ggwanga mubaamu amagye amavundu ye bagenda omusiba yali givundu ekirungi bamusibako bagenda omusiba naye yali givundu so alekerawo okubalaatira mu nsonga eziruma bannayuganda tubanja abasibe abaasibwa abawozesebwa abaali mu court martial files ezo twagala zidde mu kooti za bulijjo abantu abo basobole okufuna obwenkanya ate mu budde justice delayed is justice denied tetugenda kumwega